Hi, it's Dave from Hector's Smokehouse, and this week I'm cooking something a little bit different. I'm going to do some black pudding Scotch eggs. So what I'm going to do in this is I'm going to take some black pudding or blood pudding. It's an Irish black pudding called Clonaclilty that we can get in Australia and in Europe. I'm going to mix it with some sausage, not sausage mince, but just with some plain pork mince. And because there's lots of seasoning and herbs actually in the black pudding. Mix them together, have a soft to medium boiled egg inside, and coat them in some panko crumbs, and then I'm going to cook them on the Weber using the slow and sear for around about 20 minutes, up to about 165 in the sausage meat, and should take around about 20 minutes to cook once I put them on. So it's going to be a little bit different. I've not done this before, so we'll see how we go, and hope you enjoy the video. So I'm about to put the eggs on for the boil. I'm looking for them to be soft to medium boiled, so I don't want them to be too soft in the middle, but I don't want it to be too hard neither, so I'm looking for a midpoint on them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to got it at a simmer. I'm going to try and cook these for about 5.5 minutes, and then once I've cooked them for 5.5 minutes, they'll go into some ice water to stop the cooking process, to stop them going over. So I'm only going to do 3 eggs at a time so that I don't drop the temperature of the water too much. So I'm going to do them in 2 batches. So I'll come back and take them out in 5.5 minutes time. The eggs have been boiling for around about 5.5 minutes now. So I'm going to lift them out and just put them into this cold water to stop the cooking process. And then I'll put the next batch of eggs in. So we'll see what these look like in 15-20 minutes after they've cooled down and we start to peel them. The second batch of eggs I've done for 6 minutes, so I've actually done them a little bit longer, just to see if there's a difference between the doneness. And what I'll do is I'll report back to you and tell you whether 5.5 minutes or 6 minutes gives you the correct type of doneness, but we'll see which way it goes with both times. So the eggs have had about 20 minutes to cool down. So what I'm going to do is try and peel them. Not something that I do a great deal of, so I've not got any special methods or anything like that, but I'll start peeling them and I'll show you what they look like once I've peeled them. So these are the peeled eggs. My advice is these ones are 6 minutes and these ones are 5 minutes 30, and the ones at 6 minutes peeled much easier than the ones at 5 minutes 30. Now we'll see what they look like inside, but they still feel soft. So my thoughts are 6 minutes is going to be absolutely perfect. So what I'm going to be cooking with is, this is a black pudding in Australia, which is an Irish black pudding called Clonaclilty. We can get this quite in a lot of places, even Woolworths in Australia. So I'm going to mix that just with some plain pork mince, and I'll mix the two together. I'll just mix the two together, and we'll make the Scotch eggs out of those. I don't know whether this will be enough. I think there's about 500 or 600 grams in there, and 200 grams in there. So there might not be enough in here. We'll see how many this covers, and then I'll recommend how many you need to do actually 6 Scotch eggs. So into the bowl, I'm going to put the Clonaclilty black pudding. So this is 200 grams of black pudding that I'm going to break up into there. And I'm not going to really put a lot of flavour into the pork mince, because this is full of herbs and spices, is the black pudding, the blood pudding. So I'm not going to put stacks and stacks of different flavours into this. So I don't really need sausage meat. Rather than sausage meat, I'm just using plain pork. This pork mince is 400 grams. 435 grams, 440 grams. So altogether there's just over 600 in here. And what I'm going to do now is mix these together. So we end up with a mix of the Clonaclilty black pudding, but then also the pork mince as well. So this is how I'm actually mixing it. So I'm putting it together and squeezing it through my hands. And that's mixing the sausage meat, the black pudding into the pork mince. And that mixes it quite nice, so you can see it's gone in really well. So into this I'm making a wash and everything to actually coat the crumbs, coat the Scotch egg. So in the first one I'm just putting some flour, I'm going to season this. This is plain flour, all-purpose flour. Just going to season that with some salt and pepper. And then I'm going to put some salt and pepper going into there. So this is just going to coat the egg in the first instance. Then into the middle I'm going to put an egg wash. So a couple of eggs cracked in there and mixed. And then in the last one I'm going to put in some panko breadcrumbs. They're in this end one. So we'll put the sausage meat into the flour first, dip it into the egg, and then from the egg it'll go into the panko mix. Okay, so I'm going to get a bit of flour on my hands, take a piece of this sausage meat, and I'm going to flatten the sausage meat out as much as I can, or the black pudding meat. So I'll try and make that reasonably thin. Take one of the eggs, put the egg in, and then start to fold it up and cover the egg in the pork and black pudding mix. So you can see that's actually quite reasonable. So there you go. So that's what that looks like. That's covered it quite nicely. So I'll put it in a bit of this seasoned flour to start with. We'll dip it into the egg wash. And then out of the egg wash into the panko. Put the panko all over. And that's going to be ready then to actually go onto the Weber barbecue. So you can see that's covered nicely. So I managed to get 5 Scotch eggs, black pudding Scotch eggs, out of that mixture. So it was about 125 grams of meat in each. So if you add the black pudding and the sausage meat, about 125 grams goes into each of the wrappings of the Scotch egg. Also in there I used around about 100 grams of panko breadcrumbs and 2 eggs to actually do the egg wash, and then obviously some flour with salt and pepper in. So around about 125 per one you've got. So I think there I've used about 650 grams, and I'll put the imperial measurements up as well. So I probably needed another 125 grams of either sausage meat or black pudding, or a mixture of both, to have actually got 6 Scotch eggs. But I'm pretty happy with that. They've come out pretty good and they look pretty nice. So the plan with these Scotch eggs is I'm doing them in the small Weber grill veggie basket, and I'm going to do them indirect on a Weber kettle at around about 400 to 450 until we get to the sausage meat and the black pudding gets to around about 165 F. And then they should be just about done, which I'm thinking is going to take about 20 minutes. But I'll do them indirect, and I'm going to use the sear and slow on these as I'm cooking them as well. So we've got the Weber up to about 380 and 390. I'd have been happier if it had been about 400, but I'm pretty comfortable at 380. So I'll show you what it's like inside as well, what we're actually cooking with. So what I'm doing, how I'm cooking, is I've got the slow and sear at the back of here. So that's got all of the charcoal in. There is a reservoir. I've not got that filled this time, but you can put water in there. And then this is my whole indirect area. I'm going to use a Weber vegetable basket in there, which will be filled with the Scotch eggs. And then I'll be cooking for around about 20 minutes, checking the temperature of the sausage meat and the black pudding meat. And that needs to be around about 165. And once it gets to there, I'll be taking them off. So that gives you an idea of how I'm actually cooking on here. So we left it a few minutes, and we're now up to 400 F. And we're going to put these on, so I'll just slip that out of the way. We'll put those in there. What I'm going to do is probably turn this around halfway through the cook, just to make sure that these are evenly cooked. So in 10 minutes time I'll just turn that around. So we've just gone 10 minutes. We'll lift them up, give these a quick spin around, and what I'm going to do is just Yep, I can feel them crisping up a little bit, so I'll spin them over just to make sure there's a lot of, make sure they're cooked evenly. That one's a little bit bigger than the other ones. So be careful doing this because the actual vegetable dish is quite hot. There you go, so we'll put that on and we'll give them another 10 minutes and then we'll check the temperature once we've had another 10 minutes on there. Well, that should be it. They've been in there for $25 minutes now. About 165 there. 165. 168. Yep, they should be good to go. So we'll take these off now and I'll show you them being cut up. Okay, so they're done. I've let them cool down for a few minutes. Let's see if we can see what this looks like. That looks pretty good. Still soft in the middle. But that looks like a pretty good Scotch egg. Very, very happy with that. That looks delicious. What's that? Well, that's the first time I've made black pudding Scotch eggs, but geez, they were delicious. Really, really good. Probably don't want the eggs too runny. I reckon just nice and soft in the middle is perfect. But probably if there was all black pudding, it'd be too rich. So I think that mixture of black pudding and pork mince worked really well. But yeah, they were unbelievably good. We're definitely doing them again. So yeah, so absolutely have a try and try and make this because it's a fun recipe to make. Very simple and quick as well. Only took 25 minutes, about $3.90 in the end on the Weber, and they were quite crisp and crunchy on the outside with the panko breadcrumbs, but nice and soft, and the eggs were nice and soft and gooey in the middle. So just a perfect consistency. Hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, please click like, and also please subscribe to the channel. See you again soon.